Here in Canada, there's a form in your RRSP file right now, and it can completely override your will. Most people assume their will decides who gets their RRSP when they die. It doesn't. Whatever's written on your RRSP beneficiary form is what actually happens. Your will doesn't get a say, no matter what it says. That one mix-up leads to a few real mistakes, and each one costs families money, time, or a fight nobody saw coming. Mistake 1. Naming your estate as the beneficiary. Some people do this on purpose, thinking it keeps things simple. Others do it by accident. If you never pick someone, some institutions just defaulted to estate. Here's what actually happens when you do that. Instead of the RRSP going straight to a person, it falls into your estate, and once it's in the estate, it has to go through probate, the legal process that validates your will. And in most provinces, that comes with a real fee on everything passing through it. Name an actual person directly on that RRSP form instead, and the money skips the estate completely. No probate on that account. It goes straight to them. So picture two RRSPs, same balance, same province. One has a named person on the form, the other says my estate. The first one pays out directly, fast, no probate fee. The second gets folded into the estate, has to wait for probate, and gets a fee taken off the top. In Ontario, that's 1.5% on everything over the first $50,000. That's a real fee, not a rough guess. Now, naming a person sounds like it fully solves it. It doesn't, not completely. Here's the part almost nobody knows. If the person you named isn't a qualifying beneficiary, not a spouse, not a dependent child, the tax on that RRSP is still owed by the estate. And if there's not enough cash left in the estate to pay that tax bill, CRA doesn't just write it off. CRA can go after the beneficiary directly for the shortfall, even though they already got the money and skipped probate entirely. So naming a person avoids the probate problem. It doesn't automatically avoid every problem. Mistake 2, and this one's sneakier, an outdated beneficiary designation. This happens when someone names a beneficiary early on, maybe a spouse from years ago, and then life changes, a divorce, a remarriage. Here, the form just never gets updated. Legally, that old form still stands. Your RRSP still pays out to whoever is named on it, even if that's an ex, or someone who isn't around anymore, or just isn't who you'd want holding that money today. Your will doesn't override it. Your intentions don't override it. The form is what the financial institution follows. If your spouse is still the right beneficiary, by the way, there's a whole separate set of tax rules that apply to them specifically. We covered that in another video, linked below. While we're on who's actually named, there's one more thing worth knowing. You can't just name a minor grandchild directly on an RRSP the way you'd name an adult. Financial institutions can't pay funds directly to a minor. That money gets held by a public trustee or needs a court-appointed trustee until the child turns 18 or 19, depending on the province. Which brings up mistake 3. What happens when people name more than one beneficiary? Say someone names their 2 adult children 50-50. Most banks will honor that split exactly as written, but here's what most people never think through. What happens if one of those 2 kids passes away before the parent does? In most cases, that share doesn't go to that child's own kids, it just gets redistributed to the surviving sibling. So a grandchild who the parent probably assumed would inherit that portion gets nothing, purely because the form never addressed it. This isn't a CRA rule, it's set by each bank's own contract, so it's worth actually asking your provider how their form handles it, not assuming. Quebec works differently here, and it's worth knowing if you live there. This whole beneficiary skips the estate rule doesn't apply the same way. Quebec treats RRSP beneficiary designations under civil law. So, if you're in Quebec, this isn't a simple form beats will situation. Worth checking with a Quebec notary or your financial institution on how your RRSP is set up. So here's the actual takeaway. A few things worth checking on your own RRSP today, not eventually. Does the form say an actual person's name, or does it say estate? If it says a person, is that still the right person? And if that person passes away before you do, does the form actually say what happens next? Most people have never looked at that form since the day they opened the account. It takes 2 minutes to check now. It can take months and real money to fix later. If this video made it clearer, please hit subscribe. Canadian Life, simply explained. See you in the next video.